The biggest drug dealers in history. Number 1, Pablo Escobar. Rio Negro, Colombia, December 1st, 1949. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born to a farmer father and a schoolteacher mother. The third of 7 children, Pablo grew up watching Colombia tear itself apart during La Violencia, a civil war claiming 200,000 lives. He began stealing tombstones and selling phony diplomas, stealing headstones from cemeteries, sandblasting off the names, reselling them as new. He dropped out of school because his family couldn't pay for education. He started a bicycle repair shop, prowling streets for discarded parts. Then he started stealing cars. In 1974, his first arrest came for auto theft. Authorities dismissed him as just another petty criminal. They were wrong. Escobar entered the drug trade in the 1970s and developed his cocaine operation in 1975. The timing was perfect. America was discovering cocaine. He flew his first loads himself, made his first million through kidnapping, used it to buy more planes, more helicopters, recruited armies. In the mid-1970s, Escobar founded the Medellin cartel with the Ochoa brothers. By the 1980s, he controlled over 80% of the cocaine shipped to the United States. At its peak, the cartel earned approximately $420 million a week. So much money that his brother estimated about 10%, which was about $2.1 billion, was written off each year because rats ate it or they lost track of where it was buried. $2 billion lost every year. By 1978, he purchased Hacienda Nápoles, a 7,000-acre estate costing $63 million, with a zoo housing giraffes, hippos, and camels. But Escobar wanted more than wealth. He wanted power. He built roads, schools, and hospitals in Medellin's poor neighborhoods. The poor called him Robin Hood. In 1982, he won a seat in Congress. He dreamed of becoming president. That dream shattered when journalists exposed his criminal past. Furious, Escobar declared war on Colombia. In 1989, the cartel placed a bomb aboard an airplane, killing over 100 people. He assassinated presidential candidates, murdered judges and police by the hundreds. His philosophy, plata o plomo, silver or lead, bribery or death. Colombia offered him a deal, surrender and serve time in a prison of his own design. Escobar built La Catedral, with a nightclub, sauna, waterfall, and soccer field. He ran his empire from inside. But in 1992, after murdering 2 cartel members inside La Catedral, authorities tried to transfer him to a real prison. Escobar escaped. Colombian forces, American intelligence, rival cartels, and vigilantes hunted him. They killed his associates, burned his properties. The empire crumbled. December 2nd, 1993. One day after his 44th birthday, Escobar called his son. The call lasted long enough to triangulate his location. Special forces stormed the building. Escobar reached the roof. Gunfire erupted. A bullet struck him in the head. The king of cocaine fell. 25,000 people attended his funeral. Half mourned a murderer, half mourned a hero. Number 2, Griselda Blanco Cartagena, Colombia, February 15, 1943. Griselda Blanco Restrepo was born in Colombia into crushing poverty. At 3, her mother moved them to Medellin. Her mother was allegedly an alcoholic sex worker who subjected her to violent abuse. When she was 11, she purportedly helped kidnap a 10-year-old boy. When the family wouldn't pay ransom, Blanco allegedly shot him. She became involved in criminal activities at an early age, ultimately turning to prostitution. As a teenager, she ran away from home, resorting to pickpocketing to survive. Standing only 5 feet tall, she entered a world dominated by violent men and decided she would dominate them instead. She married Carlos Trujillo, who made a living falsifying papers and trafficking humans. The marriage produced 3 children. She got into marijuana trafficking before divorcing him and moving to Queens in the 1960s. By the mid-1970s, Trujillo was dead. She began a relationship with Alberto Bravo, a drug trafficker whom she ultimately married. Through Bravo, she discovered cocaine. She had lingerie made with secret compartments to smuggle drugs. Blanco opened a lingerie factory in Colombia, adjusting garments to include compartments for smuggling cocaine. She and Bravo allegedly employed a network of as many as 1,500 drug dealers. Then she accused Bravo of stealing. The argument ended in a shootout that resulted in Bravo's death. She became the Black Widow. By the late 1970s, she moved to Miami. By 1980, an estimated 70% of all cocaine entering the United States passed through South Florida. Blanco intended to control it all. Her method was overwhelming violence. At its height, her network brought in $80 million per month. She allegedly invented the drive-by motorcycle assassination, hitmen on motorcycles pulling alongside victims and opening fire. Miami's homicide rate tripled. In 1979, Blanco was linked to a deadly shootout at Dadeland Mall in broad daylight. Her network has been linked to roughly 200 murders. Even Pablo Escobar allegedly said, "The only man I was ever afraid of was a woman named Griselda Blanco." In 1985, DEA agents arrested her. In 1994, she pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received 20 years. In 2004, she was released and deported to Colombia. She lived quietly until September 3, 2012. Outside a butcher shop in Medellin, assassins on a motorcycle shot her dead. The woman who invented the motorcycle hit died by one. She was 69. Number 3, El Chapo La Tuna, Badiraguato, Sinaloa, Mexico. April 4, 1957. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera was born in rural Badiraguato. His childhood was shaped by poverty and his abusive father, who was in the drug trade. When he was a teenager, his father kicked him out. He went to live with his grandfather. He gained the nickname El Chapo, Mexican slang for shorty, for his 5'6" stature. Guzman spent his childhood shuttling oranges to market. By age 15, he had cultivated his own marijuana plantation. He came to work for his uncle Pedro Aviles Perez, a pioneer of Mexican drug trafficking. In the 1970s, he worked for Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, leader of the Guadalajara cartel. Guzman handled logistics, coordinating drug shipments from Colombia to Mexico. He was barely literate, but he understood efficiency. When Gallardo was arrested in 1989, Guzman and others formed the Sinaloa cartel. Then he revolutionized the business. Guzman pioneered constructing tunnels beneath the U.S.-Mexico border. Sophisticated engineering projects costing millions. Some ran hundreds of meters, equipped with lighting, ventilation, and rail systems. By 2014, El Chapo had become a billionaire. In 2009, Forbes placed his net wealth at $1 billion. But in June 1993, he was arrested in Guatemala and extradited to Mexico, sentenced to a minimum of 20 years. In prison, he bribed guards, took a mistress, and continued overseeing the Sinaloa cartel. Then he did the impossible. January 19, 2001. Guzman escaped Puente Grande prison in a laundry cart. The escape allegedly cost him $2.5 million in bribes. For 13 years, he ran the cartel from the shadows. He became a folk hero. Narco corridos celebrated his life. On February 22, 2014, he was arrested in Mazatlan. Mexico refused U.S. extradition requests. Then, on July 11, 2015, he did it again. El Chapo escaped through a tunnel under a shower. The roughly 5.6 feet high tunnel had lighting and ventilation. A massive manhunt followed. On January 8, 2016, Guzman was captured in Los Mochis after a shootout. In 2017, he was extradited to the United States. On February 12, 2019, a U.S. jury found him guilty on all 10 counts. On July 17, 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years, along with $12.6 billion in forfeiture. El Chapo now sits in ADX Florence, America's only supermax prison. He will die there. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell to not miss out on future posts.